What we found after measuring this across many, many, many firms is that non-attorney salespeople on average perform at better rates, close rate, than attorney salespeople. And the primary reason for that is non-attorney salespeople can't give legal advice. And because they can't give legal advice, it leaves them one option. That one option is they have to follow the structure. And because they have to follow the structure, now they are equipped to follow that structure and only that structure, work the prospect through and get the consultation closed. Never mind that, but also traditionally non-attorney salespeople have a sales mindset, which means they're traditionally better equipped with objection handling and being willing to invest the time to overcome objections. Whereas attorneys, you just weren't taught that. You weren't ever taught that in law school. So it's not a bad thing. It's just not necessarily innate. Whereas for a non-attorney salesperson, that's their career. That's what they do. And so they understand how to maneuver that and what that looks like.
I don't want to create any wiggle room for anybody because you and I know the truth. And every client we work with that had fought us on this notion and said some version of, oh, how could a non-attorney sell my type of legal services? Like high-level sex offender cases, major criminal cases, high complicated divorce or immigration cases, bankruptcy cases, estate planning and asset protection case. How could the non-attorney sell these highly, complicated case types? Don't they have to, you have to ask real good quality questions and you're going to have to give some legal advice during the process. And so for everybody who said that to us, and then was eventually willing to take the challenge, 100% of the time, they have determined that the non-attorney will close better. However, MPS, if they're still stuck on this and they really can't get over their own belief about that, or maybe they're concerned about their bar association and they haven't done the due diligence yet to determine if this is feasible for them, can they take the right system and structure and train attorneys to use it?
Excellent segue. Yes, they can. In fact, I would tell you 100% of those clients not only would say that the non-attorney closes at better rates, 100% of those clients would also say they can't imagine life without a non-attorney salesperson anymore and having to go back to doing that. Many of you just heard that and you're wondering, like, could I even afford a non-attorney salesperson? Like, does that even make sense for my firm? And the answer is, well, we've got an easy way for you to find out. So you can go to yourprofitablelawfirm.com, and we've actually built a salesperson calculator to help you identify what a salesperson in your law firm should be paid and whether or not you can afford to make that decision. But we also have to talk about what that looks like in terms of building the right structure to see if the ROI would be there for you. But you could go to yourprofitablelawfirm.com to figure out if that makes sense. If you're in a position where a non-attorney there's that mental roadblock for you, fine. And you want to have attorneys run your consults. That's where non-attorney or attorney, it doesn't matter. They've got to follow a process. And when I say a process, that's not, hey, maybe touch on this, maybe touch on that, maybe touch on this. No, I mean a step-by-step structure, a step-by-step script that is used on every consultation, every single time, without fail. And as a result of doing that, guess what's going to happen? They're going to generate more consistent results in the consult room. We're not trying to capture 100% of our prospects into paying clients. Not only do we likely not want that, it's just not likely going to be the case. And so many firms tell you to try to customize each consultation to try to accomplish just that, getting 100%. No, we want a black box structure, a set script that we're going to pass every person through every single time and consistently capture 60 to 80% of those prospects into paying clients. The key word there is consistently. We're not looking for a swing and getting an 86% close rate one week and a 17% close rate the next. We're looking for 60 to 80%. And if we have an off week, we're at 62% rather than 73%, right? Consistency is what we're trying to strive for. Rich, would you agree?
Oh, yeah, 100%. The attorneys oftentimes think that the responsibility during the consultation is to give legal advice. In fact, especially the attorneys who charge for consults. Now, whether you should charge for consults or not is an entire other discussion that we're not going to get into today. But whether they charge for consults or not, attorneys believe that their job is to give legal advice. And they also believe that they're trying to close everybody, right? And salespeople actually think they're trying to close everybody too. And so what you just identified is, first of all, the rule during the consultation is that we're not there to give legal advice. As a matter of fact, we should never give legal advice
Correct.
during the initial consultation. And rather, listen, we don't want to suggest that legal advice shouldn't be given, but it should be given after the consultation is over, once the client retains the firm. The whole point of the initial consultation is for the client to retain the firm so that we can give them legal advice, right? And so if we do that, and then we move on to this premise that, well, first of all, we're not going to get everybody. Grandma used to say, Jesus couldn't get them all, neither will we, right? That's a true statement. I kind of proved it when I built the law firm myself and I trained sales guys. But then you wanted to make it official and make it duplicatable. And so you're like, I'm going to go prove this. And you went and worked with a firm to prove this out. What did it look like for you? Did you try to close everybody? Did you assume you were going to close 100%? Did you alter or change your pitch to try to close everybody? What did it look like for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I went into a bankruptcy firm with zero bankruptcy knowledge, to be clear. And I just followed the structure and script on every consultation. Now, being a highly competitive salesperson, yeah, absolutely. I wanted to close every single person I met with. Of course I did. But guess what? I didn't alter the way I ran a consult to do that. I followed the same set structure every single time and was a polite pit bull, I guess. I worked objections, right, in the right way. And when you work objections in the right way, good results happen. And as a result of that, during the COVID era and remote consultations, I was in a bankruptcy firm with zero knowledge. And within the first 2 weeks, we were closing at 84% consistently. And that happened throughout my time there. And it's because I was committed to the structure, committed to the process, and making sure I was doing what I can when it came to an objection handling standpoint. So, Rich, I think that structure is the absolute essential. And if there's one thing you took out of this over and above the belief and over and above the who, it's that you need a sales structure in place to allow yourself to start building a high performing sales team. What are some quick actionable things from an ongoing perspective once they've got a sales team?
So I think that's great. You're going to bifurcate this into people like they're just small and sold and they're trying to figure out how to close more deals, or they have a sales team, whether it's one salesperson, attorney or non-attorney, or they've got, 6 salespeople, attorney or non-attorneys, that are closing deals, regardless of what it looks like. The first step I think that we talked about is let's get the truth. So let's first set the stage by knowing what the truth is. Where are we already converting at? Now, here's some of the numbers you're going to want to get a baseline. The first number you're going to want to get is what's your actual close rate, right? If you can measure your baseline, understand what your close rate is, understand what your client value is that you're currently selling, understand how much money you're getting during the initial consultation, we now have a basis to work from. Would you agree with that, Michael?
I would. That gives you your starting foundation. And then once you've got your start, now you can build on it from there. So now you can figure out how you need to fine tune. A few key things should happen once you've got your sales team in place, whether that's yourself as the attorney in a small and solo, or you've got an entire sales team of non-attorney salespeople. And that is a few things. First and foremost, you should always have some version of some consistent weekly training to make sure your sales team is getting coached and trained on a weekly basis. The second thing is you need to make sure you have an outlet every week for your team to be able to get questions answered. So whether that's on those training and coaching calls that you have, or you're just generally opening some time every week to be able to give your sales team an outlet to work through those questions, you need to have those two important meetings. But above all, one of the most important tools when it comes to accountability for your sales team is you need to have a scorecard. So we talk about a structure. Your scorecard should be that structure. So you should have that structure lined out in a scorecard that you can pull a consult recording and you can go through and listen to it and you can score it and identify how well the salesperson did following the structure and identify where there were some opportunities to improve in that. And all three of those things together are going to allow you to build a high performing sales team that continues to perform.